If you're interested in glowing up, then I'm Celeste Louw, and this is Brave Enough. Right, so in front of me, I have some more questions, and let's see how we go. So, the first question up is: you've spent years helping other people heal. What do you do when you're the ones who's struggling? I think that just like any other survivor, I lean on people who I've learned to trust and to have as a support network. And I use the skills and tips and all the things that I talk about, this stuff like breathing and journaling and taking a moment to figure out who you are. I think that when you're struggling, you need to rely on methods and things that you know that work. But everybody struggles. Life isn't easy, so you have to have coping mechanisms that can work for you. The the point of that, I suppose, is that you don't have negative coping mechanisms that just make everything worse. You always talk about healing. What are you still healing from? Hey, healing is a journey. Uh, it's something that you figure out every day. So sometimes you don't even know what you're healing from until it happens. So I think that for me, when you talk about healed, everything becomes very complicated because how you could feel about something today and how you could feel about it tomorrow could be completely different. So healing is a journey, and I'm still healing from many things. What's something you've changed your mind about in the last few years? Oh gosh, I think that part of healing and growing and becoming your best self is that you learn that you don't know everything and you can change your mind anytime. So as you grow, your perspective on things changes, and that changes how you see the world. So over the last few years, I've learned many things. I've learned that you need to be validated inside of yourself, and that the choices you make will dictate the life you lead. And sometimes you have to accept the fact that you make bad choices, and sometimes you need to celebrate the fact that you have great victories, and that all of those things are just part of being alive. People see you as strong. What does nobody see? So I think strength is putting one foot in front of the other and facing your life every day. And often when people label you as strong, it puts a responsibility and accountability on you that is very hard to carry. I don't think anyone is any stronger than another person, other than the fact that you may appear to be that way. I think that everybody struggles, and I think that everybody has downs and questions their self and feels weak at times. So it depends on how you measure strength. And for me, strength is getting up every day and facing your life and figuring out a way forward on a daily basis. Huh. What's the best decision you ever made and what's the worst? Uh, I don't even think I know how to answer that question. The best decision I ever made was to carry on living when I wanted to die, because so much has happened since then that I would have missed out on all of that. And I think that often when we're in the deepest of our despair, we forget that there's seasons in life, and you can just walk through the hard season. You can come to the better season. I'm really not alone in the room, and people are allowed to cough. Okay, so what is the worst decision I ever made? You know, I think the thing is you can do that. You can go and lambaste yourself about bad decisions. I had one last week. But and it was hard. It was difficult. But you know what? At the end of the day, I think your bad decisions, you can see them as whips to whip yourself with, or you can see them as lessons to stand up from. So I don't know that I would classify any one of them as being so bad that it ended my life, because here I am still breathing. So I don't think that you should sit and embaste yourself with bad decisions. You should be solution driven and try to find a way forward. If you could relive 1 year of your life, would you? No. No, I wouldn't relive anything, and I don't regret things. And I'm excited for what the future brings. And I don't think that you should live in the past. I think the past should inform who you are today so that you can build a better tomorrow. But living in the past is a trap. It's a trap that can keep you stuck in a person that doesn't grow. What chapter of your life are you glad is over? Oh, plenty. Plenty, but that doesn't mean that I'm living in the memory of those chapters. It's been difficult. It's been a difficult life, but I think lots of people have difficult lives. And I don't think any one person's struggles are more valid than another person's. So I'm glad that the chapter of my life with my stepfather is closed, in many respects, although there are some loose ends still. Right. What part of your younger self do you miss? I don't actually remember my younger self very well, and I think that's part of being a survivor. I have holes in my memory. Um, I think that I've worked very hard to be the best person I can be today and every day. And so I don't really miss myself because I'm the best me I can be today. These questions are really hard. What part of your younger self are you glad you left behind? Oh, huh. I was very angry. I was I was very angry, and I was judgmental, I think, in a lot of ways. And I lived and operated from a place of pain. So I'm glad that I've left that behind, and I try to leave that behind, although, part of you is still part of you. And even though you choose not to be that part of you, sometimes it surfaces. So, but I'm glad that I've left all that anger behind. You've spoken openly about trauma. Has there ever been a moment when you felt angry that you had to carry those experiences at all? Oh, hell yes. I mean, I think when something happens to you that's really traumatic or horrible, I mean, if you've born with a disability, if you struggle with things, then of course you get angry that you have to carry them. I mean, I think any person who doesn't ask why me is is odd. Why is this all happening to me? Why did this person choose me to hurt? Why was I not like this other person? We all do that, kind of look at other people and wish we were someone else at some point in our lives. I'm very glad to not be like that anymore. But I mean, it's a really difficult position to be in when you've experienced a lot of hardship and a lot of heartbreak. And when you live in a world that is violent and um, traumatizing and full of pain, then I think that we all have moments of anger around why we have to carry those experiences at all. But for me, the way to look at that is, out of everything, there's always a lesson or a blessing. And you have to learn the lessons and hold on to the blessings. What's a lesson you learned the hard way that nobody could have taught you? Uh, Nobody's coming to save you. Nobody's coming to save you from yourself and your thoughts and your mind and your emotion. So people might help you. They could lend a helping hand. They might even give you really good advice, which you might just throw in the dustbin. But nobody's coming to save you. And I think that you only learn that the hard way. You only learn that validating yourself comes from inside of yourself the hard way. People can tell you that, and people can plant the seed. The fact that you are in control of your emotions and that will you will dictate the path that you walk, and that you can't point fingers at everyone else all the time. The fact that you have to let go of things, these are all things that you learn the hard way. There's no easy lessons there. When was the last time you failed at something? uh, Last week. Last week I failed at something, and then I had a little cry, stood up, and carried on going, because that's what we do. That's what life is like. You fail and then you get up. What does failure look like for you now compared to 10 years ago? I think, and I wouldn't say 10 years ago, maybe a bit longer than that ago, but failure used to be really, really hard for me. And I still am very hard on myself when I fail at things. But now I've learned to recognize failure as lessons that you can build on, and things that you can grow on, and that you can change, and that everything doesn't have to stay the same. I think that when you're a person who is really hard on yourself, then failures can become problematic, because when other people mention them, they create an anger inside of you, because you've already given yourself what for making those mistakes and having those failures. So I think what failure looks like to me now is more of, well, that didn't quite work out. How can I fix it? Whereas failures before used to be devastating and make me want to stay in bed in the morning and not get up and face my life. What's something you thought would make you happy that didn't? I don't think I've really had that problem. Um, I've always known that money and things and success are things that you measure yourself. Like, you don't need those things. I think that happiness is an inside job. And that, I think, comes from my journey from there to here. And so I don't really have a high expectation for this particular thing is going to make me happy, or owning something, or achieving something would make you happy. What makes me happy is being with the people that I love, um, and living a life that has purpose. So those are things that make me happy. What's something that surprised you about success? You know what I like about this question is that it assumes that I'm successful. So the question I have about that is, how do you measure success? And when do you get there? So I'm surprised by the fact that people are asking me questions about being successful. Right. Have you ever achieved a goal and immediately started chasing the next one instead of enjoying it? Oh, yes, all the time, because the goals always move. You enjoy it for a minute and then you move on. A goal, a goal is a movable thing. It's not an end point. So, yes, you enjoy it and you celebrate it and then you move on. I don't know how long you're supposed to stay happy with the fact that you reached a goal. Is there a time limit? I don't know. Somebody's going to let me know, right? Please tell me, because I don't know. What's something you're proud of that nobody ever asks you about? Um, I'm really proud of my kids and the achievements that they have, and the way that they live their lives. I'm I'm really proud of the fact that they are decent human beings who have empathy and compassion for other people. And I'm proud of them because They are who they are because of themselves and of the influences of a lot of other people, and maybe just a little bit of me. Despite the fact that they had a broken, damaged mother for many years, they're amazing. And I think that's something I'm proud about that people don't really ask about. What's something that people get wrong about resilience? I think that people think that you're born with it, or that you are unusual if you are resilient. I think resilience is something that you learn and grow into, right? So you learn it from the minute you're born. You learn how to navigate life. And I think it also depends on what kind of upbringing you have. But I think people think resilience is something that just comes naturally. But resilience is a choice. It's a choice to get up every day. It's a choice to face your life every day. It's a it's a choice. The way that you live is a choice. And being resilient is a choice, just like any other choice. I think people get that wrong. I think it's like a muscle. You have to exercise it. Do you think strong people sometimes become too good at carrying things they should put down? Oh, yes. I think that people who are seen as strong, people who get up and live their lives every day, who face adversity, who manage their challenges, I think that they hold on to challenges and things and never know when to stop. So it's a no retreat, no surrender kind of energy that they have. And resting can be difficult. So I do think that sometimes we carry too many things and don't know how to put them down. What's one thing you've stopped apologizing for? I think I've stopped apologizing for being me. I did that for many years. I think sorry was a thing that I used to say every 5 or 10 minutes every day. I used to apologize for everything. So I've stopped apologizing as much, but that doesn't mean that I can't apologize. I think that if you're wrong, you should apologize. But I've stopped apologizing for who I am. What have you become less tolerant of as you've gotten older? I'm still very intolerant of abuse. That's about it. I think that there's way too much nastiness and evil in the world. What's something you've learned to say no to? Oh, I can say no now. As a survivor, one of the things that is difficult to do is say no. I can say no now. I've learned how to say no, how to not answer the phone just because it's ringing, and not do things that I feel are taxing on me or that I'm not up for. I think learning to say no is the hardest part, has been the hardest part of my journey. One of the things I find very difficult, but I've learned now. I'm sure there's lots of things I still need to learn how to say no to, but I've said no to lots of things too. What's something you're learning to say yes to? I'm learning to say yes to shorter working hours. I'm learning to say yes to taking time for myself. And I'm learning to say yes to me and to the things that are important in my life. But it's a struggle because I still have workaholic type tendencies. If your life had a warning label, what would it say? I don't even know how to answer that. If my life had a warning label, trust your gut would be a warning, I suppose. I don't know. If my life had a warning label, I've had a hard one. I don't know. Living isn't for sissies, maybe would be a good warning label. Uh, what's the most ridiculous piece of advice you've ever received? Just let it go. and some others too. Don't worry, it'll be better tomorrow. Was a great one. I've been given a lot of ridiculous advice in my life, as I'm sure you have. I think that mostly the ridiculous pieces of advice come from people who don't understand the journey that you're walking, or who have no understanding for the kind of life experiences you've had. I've been given lots of ridiculous experience. I mean, advice. I think that people just assume things, and they think that life is easy, and they think, oh, why don't you just lay a charge, was a good one as well. So people give bad advice, but I think their intentions are good. What is something you know for sure today that you weren't sure of 5 years ago? I think I'm really sure that there's a solution for every problem, and that things are going to work out, and you'll make a plan. I think surviving for so long in different sets of circumstances has taught me that there's always going to be a plan, and there'll always be a way. So I think I've learned how to not struggle so much with what's coming in the future, and rather just try to live today. That doesn't mean don't plan, right? It just means you can be happy in your today. If you could have dinner with any version of yourself, which one would you choose? This one today. Because I've walked a long way to get you, and I've worked really hard. So I think that I think everybody should sit today and go, look at me today and look where I've come from. And that should be a good conversation. And if it isn't, then you need to start doing the work. You need to start doing the work if you're not happy with who you are today, if you can't look at yourself in the mirror. What would the teenage Celeste think of you today? I think my teenage self would be very proud of me today. I think who I was yesterday would be proud of me today. These are such difficult questions. I don't know where people come up with these, but here I am, I'm answering them. What would surprise people most if they spent a week with you? I actually don't have a really exciting life. I mean, I work really hard. What would surprise people? I think the fact that there's more to life than just what you see on social media. And I think that would surprise people, no matter who you are. What does bravery look like these days? Is it still the big moments, or is it something else now? Bravery was never big moments for me. Bravery is always small choices every day. I think the big moments are important, but I don't think that they are as bigger turning points. It's those little choices. It's that moment where you decide, now, now I'm going to do this. So I never think that bravery is a big thing. It's not like rushing into a burning building. Bravery is getting up and doing the things that you need to do, even when you don't feel like doing them. What's one thing you had to let go of to find peace? There's no one thing. I've had to let go of many, many things. And I was reading an article the other day, and then there were a whole bunch of comments about forgiveness and whether it's necessary to forgive to heal. And letting go has always been a challenging topic for me, because people talk about forgiveness, and I don't know that forgiveness, the way that it's defined, is something that I've even done. I think letting go is a different thing, because forgiving, it's such a charged word that I don't really like. Um, but I do think you need to let go of things. So I've had to let go of many, many things over the years, because I've had many experiences. I've had to let go of the pain other people have inflicted on me, and I've had to let go of the pain that I've inflicted on myself. I've had to learn, and I've had to grow and change, because that's just part of life. So I don't think peace comes from letting go of just one thing. I think peace comes from continuously letting go of things. What's one thing you're still learning to let go of? Well, earlier on, there was the question about chapters that are closed. So I'm still letting go of a lot of fallout from my childhood abuse, because I think it takes a lifetime to let go of all of that. But more recently, of things that happened about 2 years ago when my stepfather died, I'm still letting go of some of those things. What has grief taught you that success never could? Well, again, I don't know how you're measuring success, but grief has taught me many things. The grief of people that have passed away in my life, but the grief of losing parts of myself. The grief that comes with the pain of different types of losses. I think that a lot of lessons are learned through the grieving process, and that we grieve parts of ourselves that will never come back. But then again, sometimes we grieve things that never existed. And so those are things that I've learned from grief. I don't think success teaches people much. I think good times and happy places are places where you rest, not where you grow. What has healing taught you that therapy books never could? Everything. Therapy books are great. They're great guidelines, but guidelines don't heal you. Applying things heals you. Using techniques heals you. Talking through things, getting new perspectives, living a healing lifestyle heals you. Therapy books are just ideas, and you have to find the ways and the methodologies that work for you personally, because all of us are unique and all of our brains work differently. So you need to use therapy books to guide you to an understanding, but what works for you will come from inside of you. After everything you've lived through and everything you've overcome and everything you've achieved, what does being brave enough mean to you today? Being brave enough still means the same thing. It means getting up every day, being brave enough to face your life, being brave enough to face your challenges, to have courageous conversations, to take on new things, to learn new skills, and to move in different areas, and to grow, to build your knowledge. All of those things are being brave enough. I don't think that there's one thing. It's just living every day, one foot in front of the other, knowing that you'll get to the other side. That's being brave enough. But sometimes it's being brave enough to be happy, and it's being brave enough to accept yourself the way you are. So for me, that's what brave enough means. The question is, what does brave enough mean to you? If you or someone you know needs help, contact the Tears Foundation on 08000 83277, 24/7, free and confidential. If this meant anything to you, if it touched you or made you learn and grow, then maybe you want to like, follow, or share it with someone who might need it. I'll see you next week. Be brave enough.